The Game. Let's kick this off with Jason Terrell Taylor, better known as The Game, a Compton native whose career timeline reads like a step-by-step guide on how to self-destruct in the rap game. When Dr. Dre scooped him up for Aftermath Entertainment, his 2005 debut, the documentary, was straight fire, both critically and commercially, establishing him as a lyrical beast with that raw West Coast storytelling that had heads nodding from the projects to the penthouse. But what should have been the foundation for a legendary run instead became the start of some never-ending drama that would define this cat's rep for decades. Real talk. The biggest L in the Game's career was his fallout with 50 Cent and the whole G-Unit crew, which popped off right after the documentary dropped in 2005. What started as squad goals quickly turned into some bitter street-level warfare that had the whole hip-hop community picking sides. The beef got real spicy when 50 Cent expected all G-Unit soldiers to ride with him against cats like Fat Joe, Jadakiss, and Nas. But the Game said, nah, he was protecting his own relationships. This had 50 Cent cutting him loose from G-Unit on Hot 97, sparking some multi-year warfare involving diss records, a shooting outside the radio station, and the Game's whole G-Unit movement that had the streets buzzing. But this drama king wasn't satisfied with just one major beef, nah. His hit list of enemies includes heavy hitters like Jay-Z, Meek Mill, Kanye West, Joe Budden, Raz Kass, Lil Eazy-E, Suge Knight, Yuckmouth, Shine, 40 Glock, Lil Durk, and even Eminem. Every single conflict seemed to start from him feeling disrespected, his habit of name-dropping, or just wanting to prove he was the realest in the game, systematically burning bridges with cats who could have helped elevate his career to legendary status. The most devastating blow to his street cred came when Priscilla Rainey, some chick from his VH1 dating show She Got Game, hit him with a $7.1 million lawsuit in 2015, claiming he sexually assaulted her. When the Game played ghost and didn't show up to court, the judge hit him with a default judgment, and Rainey ended up seizing his whole label, LA Prolific, royalties from his 2019 album Born to Rap, plus his $4 million Calabasas crib. Labels started looking at the Game sideways for real reasons though. His public beef sessions, usually playing out through diss tracks or social media warfare, can mess up label operations and damage their whole brand image. His legal troubles, especially that $7.1 million hit and losing his label plus royalties, make him a financial risk that got labels spooked. The combination of his unpredictable moves and his habit of going against industry politics created a reputation that got major labels thinking twice about investing in an artist who seems hell-bent on destroying every professional relationship he builds, Azealia Banks. Not many artists in hip-hop history managed to be straight-up brilliant and completely self-destructive like Azealia Banks, for real. Coming up with her 2011 banger 212, Banks was originally signed to Interscope Records and looked like she was about to take over the game with her unique style and undeniable talent. But her career got overshadowed by what seems like an addiction to starting beef that made her one of the most controversial figures in modern music. Banks's beef resume reads like she was trying to fight the entire entertainment industry, with conflicts that escalate way past typical hip-hop drama into some genuinely disturbing territory. Her war with Iggy Azalea started when Banks called out Iggy's spot on the 2012 XXL freshman cover, questioning how some white Australian chick could call herself a runaway slave master in her track Drugs. The beef got nastier with Banks calling Azalea Igloo Aziala and a dishonest cracker, then disturbingly supporting Azalea's suicidal thoughts by tweeting, "Yeah, slave master, drive that slave truck right off the canyon." Even more damaging was her 2016 attack on Zayn Malik, where she accused him of biting her style, then quickly escalated to dropping racist and homophobic slurs, calling him a sand and questioning his whole cultural identity. The backlash was immediate. Twitter suspended her account and the Born and Bred Festival in London dropped her as a headliner. Banks's controversial behavior goes way beyond social media beefs though. In 2016, she posted videos showing a closet she used for animal sacrifices, claiming she practiced 3 years worth of brujeria. Even more shocking, in 2021, she shared a video of herself digging up and boiling her dead cat, which got her banned from Instagram and had people questioning her mental state for real. The damage to her career prospects has been devastating, no cap. Labels are scared that her conflicts could mess up their relationships with other artists or bring negative publicity. Her habit of escalating disputes with offensive language increases the risk of backlash, as we've seen with her Twitter bans and festival cancellations. Banks has been operating independently since leaving major labels, dropping music through her own imprint and smaller labels, but her inability to secure consistent major label support shows the industry's wariness of her volatile personality. Chief Keef Farrell Cozart, known in the streets as Chief Keef, came up as a young king who fundamentally changed hip-hop's sound with his pioneering work in Chicago's drill scene. His breakout track, I Don't Like, caught Kanye's attention, leading to a remix that got him a multi-million-dollar deal with Interscope Records in 2012. But what should have been the start of a legendary career instead became a cautionary tale about how street life and reckless behavior can derail even the most promising young talent. Chief Keef's legal troubles started early 2011 arrests for heroin distribution and later for aggravated aggravated assault on police after allegedly brandishing a firearm during a chase, resulting in juvenile detention and house arrest. He violated probation by handling firearms during a Pitchfork media interview, leading to more legal consequences, establishing a pattern that had labels nervous about their investment in this young artist. The most damaging incident to his street rep was his rivalry with Joseph Lil Jojo Coleman, a rapper affiliated with the rival Gangster Disciples, which escalated through diss tracks. When Jojo got murdered in September 2012, a tweet from Keef's account mocking the death had people side-eyeing him hard, though Keef claimed his account got hacked. No charges were filed, but the incident seriously damaged his public image and raised questions about his character that labels couldn't ignore. Due to concerns about violence at his shows, Keef got banned from performing in Chicago, his own hometown, for several years, limiting his ability to connect with his core fan base. This unprecedented move by city officials showed the real-world consequences of his controversial image and made touring, a crucial money stream for any artist, much more difficult. Keef's contract with Interscope Records got terminated in October 2014 after his debut album, Finally Rich, didn't meet commercial expectations. His legal troubles, controversial public persona, and failure to deliver consistent commercial results likely contributed to the label's decision. The combination of his extensive legal history, his association with Chicago's violent street culture, and his inability to deliver consistent commercial results created a perfect storm that made him virtually untouchable to major labels looking for stable, marketable artists. Lil Pump. The meteoric rise and equally dramatic crash of Gazzy Fabio Garcia, better known as Lil Pump, represents one of the most striking examples of how keeping it too reckless can completely destroy a promising career. Coming up with his 2017 hit Gucci Gang, which peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100, Lil Pump became a major player in the SoundCloud rap movement and looked like he was about to dominate the charts for years. However, Pump's success was built on a foundation of wild behavior and controversy that would ultimately prove unsustainable in the corporate world. His public promotion of drug use, particularly Xanax and lean codeine, drew criticism for encouraging harmful behavior to his young fan base. Tracks like D Rose and Molly explicitly referenced substance abuse, creating a public image that was increasingly at odds with corporate responsibility standards that labels care about. His legal troubles started piling up fast. February 2018 arrest in Miami after firing a gun in his crib, claiming intruders were present, though police found no evidence. In August 2018, he got arrested for driving without a valid license and possessing marijuana, live streaming the whole incident while taunting police. His December 2018 arrest in Denmark for taunting police and possessing marijuana got him banned from re-entering the country, limiting his international touring prospects. Maybe the most damaging to his career was his tendency toward cultural insensitivity that showed he didn't understand the game. In 2018, Pump previewed a song called Butterfly Doors, which included a racial slur against Asians and mocking gestures. After significant backlash, including from Chinese-American rapper China Mac, Pump apologized and removed the offensive content, but the damage to his reputation was already done, highlighting his habit of acting without considering consequences. While Gucci Gang achieved massive success, Lil Pump's follow-up releases underperformed commercially, with his streaming numbers and chart presence declining significantly. His focus on short-term viral moments rather than building a sustainable career deterred labels looking for artists with longevity. The combination of his legal troubles, cultural insensitivity, and declining commercial performance made him an increasingly unattractive prospect for major labels seeking stable, long-term investments. Tekashi 6ix9ine. No figure in recent hip-hop history has been more polarizing or controversial than Daniel Hernandez, known in the streets as Tekashi 6ix9ine. His colorful persona, characterized by rainbow-colored hair, extensive tattoos, and provocative behavior, made him a lightning rod for controversy from day one, but it was his cooperation with federal authorities that made him completely untouchable in the culture. 6ix9ine's troubles started early with a 2015 guilty plea for the use of a child in a sexual performance, involving a video from 2014 where a 13-year-old girl was filmed in acts while 6ix9ine was present. He got sentenced to 4 years of probation and required to complete 1,000 hours of community service, establishing a disturbing pattern that would follow him throughout his career. His beefs with artists like Trippie Redd started in 2017 when their collaboration on Polls 1469 went sour due to personal and professional disagreements. 6ix9ine accused Trippie Redd of being connected with the Bloods gang, escalating tensions through public social media exchanges that included disrespectful comments and threats. His 2018 targeting of Chicago rapper Chief Keef included social media taunting that escalated when a shooting incident occurred outside a New York hotel where Chief Keef was staying. However, it was his November 2018 arrest on federal charges of racketeering, firearms offenses, and conspiracy to commit murder as a member of the 9 Trey Gangsta Bloods that sealed his fate in the culture. Facing a potential life sentence, 6ix9ine cooperated with authorities, testifying against fellow gang gang members in 2019 and providing details about his involvement in gang activities, including ordering violent acts. His cooperation with authorities violated the street code of loyalty, making him a target of disdain and reducing his appeal to labels valuing authenticity. The hip-hop culture places mad value on loyalty and keeping it real, and 6ix9ine's decision to testify against his former associates made him a pariah. Labels fear that associating with him could damage their credibility with artists and fans who view him as untrustworthy, making him radioactive in an industry built on street credibility and loyalty. No Name. Fatima Naima Warner, known in the culture as No Name, represents a fascinating case study in how artistic integrity and political principles can sometimes clash with commercial expectations in this money-driven industry. Known for her introspective lyricism, jazz-inflected production, and outspoken political views, No Name gained recognition with her 2016 mixtape Telephone and albums Room 25, 2018, and Sundial, 2023, establishing herself as one of the most thoughtful and socially conscious voices in contemporary hip-hop. However, No Name's uncompromising stance on social and political issues has sometimes put her at odds with both fans and industry expectations. In May 2020, following the murder of George Floyd, No Name criticized unnamed rappers for their silence on systemic racism, tweeting about the lack of activism from high-profile black artists. Many interpreted this as shots fired at J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar, leading to J. Cole responding with the track Snow on the Bluff, which reflected on his own activism and suggested that No Name's tone was overly critical. No Name has been vocal about her disdain for capitalism, often criticizing the music industry's profit-driven model and calling major labels exploitative. She chose to remain independent, funding Room 25 with her own money and releasing Sundial through her own channels. Her anti-capitalist stance and rejection of major label deals made her a symbol of artistic integrity, but also a challenging figure for labels seeking profitable, marketable artists. A significant controversy popped off with her 2023 album Sundial, which included a feature from Jay Electronica on the track Balloons. His verse referenced Louis Farrakhan and contained lines perceived by some as anti-Semitic, sparking widespread criticism. Critics and fans called out No Name for platforming Jay Electronica, and after backlash, she issued an apology on social media, acknowledging the harm caused and expressing regret for not addressing the issue sooner. While No Name's music is critically acclaimed, her introspective, jazz-inflected style and focus on political themes have niche appeal compared to mainstream hip-hop. Her commitment to independence and refusal to conform to industry norms make her less appealing to labels seeking predictable returns, positioning her as an artist whose principles, while admirable, don't always align with securing the bag. Charles Hamilton. Charles Eddie Lee. Hamilton Jr. represents one of hip-hop's most heartbreaking stories, a tale of immense talent destroyed by undiagnosed mental illness and a series of increasingly wild public incidents. Coming up during the hip-hop blog era, his 2008 mixtape Crash Landing and single Brooklyn Girls earned him a multi-million-dollar deal with Interscope Records, positioning him as one of the most promising young talents in the game. However, Hamilton's undiagnosed bipolar disorder manifested in reckless behavior that became public entertainment, including blogging obsessively about an imaginary relationship with Rihanna and releasing a mixtape, Well Isn't This Awkward, dedicated to her. He also lost multiple rap battles, including a notable one at Penn State, which Interscope cited as a reason for dropping him. Hamilton's most infamous controversy involved his then-girlfriend, rapper Breonna Latrice, in May 2009, when a video went viral showing them in a rap battle where he referenced her having an abortion, prompting Latrice to punch him in the face. The humiliating clip became a major talking point on blogs and social media, cementing Hamilton's reputation for personal and public missteps that made him a target of ridicule in the culture. Hamilton got dropped from Interscope Records on September 19, 2009, after less than a year, with the label citing his poor performance in rap battles and other controversies. In 2010, Hamilton's mother had him institutionalized after finding him living in an abandoned building in Staten Island, where he expressed suicidal thoughts. He was later arrested in Cleveland for assaulting a police officer after a bizarre incident involving imaginary basketball, leading to 8 months in jails and mental health facilities. Hamilton's history of controversial behavior, combined with his mental health challenges, made him unreliable for studio work, tours, and promotional activities. Labels require consistency, which Hamilton struggled to provide due to his undiagnosed condition. His story serves as a tragic reminder of how untreated mental illness can destroy even the most promising careers in this unforgiving industry. Cannabis. Jermaine Williams, known in the culture as Cannabis, represents perhaps the most tragic case of wasted potential in hip-hop history. Coming up in 1990, 1997 with a guest verse on LL Cool J's 4, 3, 2, 1. Canibus showcased intricate lyricism that had heads praising him as the next lyrical king. Signed to Universal Records, his debut album Can I Bust, 1998, was anticipated to establish him as a leading voice in hip-hop, but what followed was a series of bad moves and controversies that would systematically destroy his career. The most defining conflict in Canibus's career was his beef with LL Cool J, which started during the recording of 4, 3, 2, 1, when Canibus's original verse included a line asking to borrow LL's tattoo, interpreted as disrespect. LL responded with a verse asserting his dominance, prompting Canibus to retaliate with the diss track Second Round KO, 1998, produced by Wyclef Jean. However, the track failed to decisively outshine LL, who responded with the Ripper Strikes Back, and the beef damaged Canibus's relationship with industry veterans. Perhaps most damaging was Canibus's 2009 controversy when he named the late producer Jay Dilla as the executive producer of his unreleased album This Perfect Life, despite Dilla having died in 2006 with no direct involvement. Canibus defended his decision, claiming he wanted to financially support Dilla's mother, but his dismissive tone toward critics fueled outrage in the hip-hop community. Canibus's reputation took a devastating blow during a 2006 battle rap event against Disaster in Los Angeles, where he infamously pulled out a notepad mid-battle to read pre-written rhymes. The incident, dubbed the Notepad Fiasco, became a meme and seriously damaged his credibility in the battle rap community and beyond. Videos of the event went viral on platforms like YouTube, cementing a narrative of Canibus as a has-been who couldn't perform under pressure. Despite critical acclaim for albums like Rip the Jacker, Canibus struggled to achieve consistent commercial success. His insistence on complex esoteric lyricism over accessible hooks limited his appeal, and labels became reluctant to invest in an artist whose output was inconsistent and whose fan base had dwindled over time. The combination of his confrontational nature, damaged reputation, and niche appeal made him virtually untouchable to major labels seeking broad marketability. Freddie Gibbs. Frederick Jamel Tipton, known in the streets as Freddie Gibbs, represents a complex case study in how keeping it too real and an uncompromising attitude can both elevate and limit an artist's career prospects. Despite critical acclaim for albums like Pinata, 2014, and Bandana, 2019, with producer Madlib, Gibbs faced challenges in securing consistent major label support, largely due to his confrontational nature and history of public disputes. Gibbs' most significant beef was with Jeezy, after signing to Jeezy's CTE World label in 2011. Their relationship went sour due to creative and business disagreements, with Gibbs feeling neglected by Jeezy, who he believed prioritized other artists and failed to support his projects adequately. In 2012, Gibbs left CTE World, publicly criticizing Jeezy and leading to a series of diss tracks, including Gibbs Real, 2014, where he called out Jeezy's authenticity and business practices. The beef damaged Gibbs' standing with major labels, as it highlighted his willingness to confront industry figures publicly and positioned him as an artist who prioritized his loyalty and creative control, potentially making labels wary of his outspoken nature. His 2020 clash with DJ Academics, where Gibbs took to social media to mock the media personality and physically confronted him at a public event, reinforced his reputation for being confrontational. In 2016, Gibbs got arrested in France on charges of sexual assault stemming from an alleged incident in Austria, detained for several weeks before being acquitted due to insufficient evidence. Though the allegations were unproven, they temporarily tarnished Gibbs' public image and likely made labels cautious about associating with him during this period. The legal battle also drained his resources, forcing him to rebuild his career independently. Gibbs' music, while critically acclaimed, caters to a niche audience of hip-hop purists rather than mainstream audiences. His focus on lyricism and storytelling may not align with labels' priorities for chart-topping hits, limiting his commercial viability in their eyes. His insistence on independence and his history of leaving labels signals to executives that he's unlikely to commit long-term, making him a challenging prospect for labels seeking stable, manageable artists. Ice Cold Bishop. Ice Cold Bishop presents a fascinating case study in how underground status and political content can sometimes be misconstrued as industry rejection. Born in South Central Los Angeles, he's known for his eccentric delivery, vivid storytelling, and ability to weave personal and societal narratives into his music. His debut album, Generational Curse, 2023, released through Epic Records under his own imprint, Ice Cold Entertainment, explores themes of generational trauma, systemic issues, and street life. Interestingly, there's no documented evidence of Ice Cold Bishop engaging in notable beefs, with his approach appearing collaborative and focused on artistic growth rather than interpersonal conflict. In a 2023 interview, Ice Cold Bishop expressed enthusiasm for collaboration, stating, "I want to let people know going forward that I'm not that hard to find. Let's work. I'm pretty available." His music tackles heavy themes like systemic violence, government corruption, and generational trauma through tracks like The Government Gave Us Guns and Dare, which address systemic systemic issues such as government involvement in supplying weapons and drugs to black communities. However, Hip Hop DX notes that his work never feels corny or shoved down your throat, suggesting his commentary is well received within the genre. The assertion that no label wants to work with Ice Cold Bishop appears to be a mischaracterization, as he's currently signed to Epic Records and has a solid network of collaborators. His underground status might reflect his deliberate artistic choices rather than industry rejection, with his signing with Epic Records and collaborations with respected artists indicating that he's valued within the hip-hop community. DMX. Earl Simmons, known in the streets as DMX, represents one of hip-hop's most tragic stories. A legendary artist whose later career got systematically destroyed by personal demons, legal troubles, and professional conflicts that made him virtually untouchable to major labels. Despite his undeniable talent and cultural impact, DMX's later career was plagued by legal troubles, personal struggles, and professional conflicts that led to a decline in his marketability. DMX's beef with Ja Rule, both signed to Def Jam in the late 1990s, intensified when DMX accused Ja Rule of copying his style, particularly his use of a gravelly voice and religious themes. DMX dissed Ja Rule in tracks like Do You, 2003, criticizing Ja Rule's authenticity. The beef polarized fans and painted DMX as confrontational, straining his relationships with other Def Jam artists and executives. When Jay-Z became president of Def Jam in 2004, DMX felt neglected by the label, believing Jay-Z prioritized his own projects and those of his Rockefeller soldiers. DMX publicly called out Jay-Z in a 2006 interview, stating, "Jay-Z didn't want me to shine, he wanted to keep me in." The Shadows, and claimed Jay-Z blocked the release of his music. This beef damaged DMX's standing with Def Jam, as his accusations against a powerful industry figure like Jay-Z alienated potential allies who could have helped his career. From the early 2000s to his death in 2021, DMX faced multiple arrests for charges including drug possession, tax evasion, and driving violations. Notable incidents include his 2004 arrest for impersonating a federal agent and attempting to steal a car at JFK Airport, his 2008 arrest for animal cruelty after authorities found neglected dogs at his Arizona crib, and his 2017 guilty plea to tax fraud, owing $1.7 million in unpaid taxes. DMX's battle with drug addiction, particularly crack cocaine, was well documented in the streets, with relapses leading to erratic behavior, including missed studio sessions and performances. In 2016, he was found unresponsive in a hotel parking lot due to a drug overdose. Labels viewed DMX's addiction as a significant risk, as it affected his reliability and ability to deliver consistent work. DMX filed for bankruptcy multiple times, citing debts of over $10 million, and his financial mismanagement, combined with tax evasion charges, made him a less attractive prospect for labels expecting stable returns. By the late 2010s, major labels showed little interest in DMX, as his history of legal issues, inconsistent output, and public beefs made him a high-risk artist. His tragic death from a drug overdose in April 2021 cut short any potential comeback, serving as a sobering reminder of how personal struggles can overshadow even the most extraordinary talent. Lil Wayne. Dwayne Michael Carter Jr., known worldwide as Lil Wayne, presents perhaps the most complex case on our list, a superstar whose disputes with his own label created a cautionary tale about contractual slavery in the music industry. Wayne's long-standing relationship with Cash Money Records, where he signed at age 11 in 1993, shaped much of his career but also led to significant disputes that impacted his reputation and relationships with labels. The beef between Lil Wayne and Cash Money Records, particularly with Birdman, started popping off in December 2014 when Wayne publicly expressed frustration on Twitter, stating that Cash Money and Birdman were refusing to release the Carter V. He tweeted, "I want off this label and nothing to do with these people, but unfortunately it ain't that easy," describing himself as a prisoner whose creativity was being stifled. On January 28, 2015, Lil Wayne filed a $51 million lawsuit against Cash Money in New York, alleging the label violated his contract by withholding Thad Carter V and failing to pay him an $8 million advance and $2 million upon album delivery. The lawsuit also claimed Cash Money withheld financial documents and royalties from Young Money artists like Drake, with Wayne seeking to terminate his contract and take Young Money artists with him. Wayne escalated his public criticism, dissing Birdman in a Young Money cypher and shouting Cash Money at shows in Florida. On April 26, 2015, Wayne's tour bus got shot at in Atlanta after a performance, with Atlanta rapper Jimmy Pee Wee Winfrey, a Young Thug affiliate, later getting arrested. The incident was linked to tensions involving Birdman Birdman and Young Thug, demonstrating the real-world dangers that can emerge from industry disputes. The public nature of Wayne's beef with Birdman, including diss tracks, on-stage rants, and social media outbursts, portrayed him as unpredictable and difficult to manage. His beefs with artists like Pusha T, Juvenile, and Young Thug suggested a pattern of interpersonal conflicts that could disrupt label operations or collaborations. Wayne's willingness to pursue legal action, as demonstrated by the $51 million lawsuit, posed a risk for labels wary of similar disputes. Wayne settled the lawsuit with Cash Money and Universal Music Group in June 2018 for an undisclosed amount, securing his release from the label, with Thug Carter 5 finally dropping on September 28, 2018. However, the years-long battle demonstrated how even superstars can become prisoners of their own contracts, and how public disputes can damage relationships throughout the industry. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out more like it by clicking the suggested cards on your screen.